All right. This first set of videos is going to be about really just an introduction to AutoCAD and how the menus and the different settings and things that we're going to work through. Then we'll get on to how to do drawings. Now these videos are being made for the 2010 engineering graphics class. Some of them may get put into the 1101 course. Don't quite know that yet, but I'm making them for the 2010 class, and I'm currently using the AutoCAD 2025 version. So when you launch AutoCAD, this is the landing page or the start. Okay, and some of the different things that you're going to see here, the menus up here are not active. The menus and the palettes are not active because we don't have a drawing file open right now. So what you see here in the middle is your recent drawings that you have had open. If you're just starting out, you're not going to have anything here, except for you may have some sample drawings that come installed with AutoCAD. Over here, you've got announcements that come from things that AutoCAD may want you to see. Connect. It's got me listed, maybe signed. Yeah, it's got me signed in automatically. You don't have to do that. You can. AutoCAD has a product that they call AutoCAD 360, which is kind of like a cloud-based storage where you can save your drawings there in 360, which is very similar to the OneDrive that we have at the college. Personally, I don't use it, and I'm not sure how it works with a student license. Okay, and then I'm not really sure how it works out in the commercial world where your company has purchased the license. I know there are ways to use it. It's just not something that I have used. Okay. Some of the different look and see something at the bottom. No. Okay. So from here you can open an existing drawing. Okay. Sheet sets, we're not going to deal with sheet sets until much later. Okay, we're going to be doing everything in single files. Okay, so you can, if you go open and then you navigate to an existing file that you already have created, or if you're just starting out with AutoCAD, I would recommend opening AutoCAD files from within AutoCAD to make sure that your Windows, your computer, understands that DWG files should be opened in AutoCAD. After your computer has learned that the default application for DWG files is AutoCAD, then you could double click it in your File Explorer to open it with AutoCAD. But to start with, I would recommend doing it here. Now, when you want to create a new template or a new drawing, we use what's called as a template. Now, in AutoCAD, you have a basic template called ACAD.DWT, the T for template. In each course that you take, in the drafting program, you're going to have a template for that course. So I want you to use the templates for that course. In this class, the 2010 class, the textbook publisher calls them prototype files. Okay, so you're just going to have to kind of remember that terminology as we're going through there. But to start with, we're going to be working with the ACAD template. And if you just click new, that's probably what it's going to open. You see, mine is pointing to the 1107 file. So if I hit the pull down, you can browse the templates, and these are all the ones that come installed with AutoCAD, with the exception of the ones that I've added in. But the ACAD template is the one that you're going to be using mostly. And it's just blank. There's very little setup in it. It's just there, okay? So let me go back to the start menu here. You can go learning, and here we'll have some tips from AutoCAD, some videos from AutoCAD on different things. This right here, the Hitchhiker's Guide to AutoCAD, is basically an introduction to using AutoCAD. Okay, you can certainly go through those things if you choose to. One thing you can do is up here. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're in a drawing and you can't figure out how to do something, you can come up here in this search bar and you can type in the command. So I'm going to say line and hit enter, and it brings up the AutoCAD help. Anything that deals with line, okay? And so you can click on to draw lines, and it walks you through how to do different things. Oftentimes in here, you'll see these little find buttons, okay? And so if you hit that, I'm not sure why it's doing that, because it should be pointing to the line command there. Okay, let me go back and let's go line command. Weird, maybe because I got my screen recorder going or something, but it would put a red arrow pointing to the line command up here. Okay, so that's how you can get to the help files. Or if you press F1 on your keyboard, it just brings up the AutoCAD help file. Okay. Let's see. All right, so that's kind of an intro here. Let's go to, okay, if you don't, go ahead and open AutoCAD if you haven't already. I would have hoped you had. And open up you a new drawing with the ACAD template. And let's look through some of the menu stuff here. Now, the big red A over here is kind of your home menu options here. And so you can open new files, you can create new files, open new files, save as. The import export, we'll deal with those later. Publish is for sending files out. We're not going to be using that in the program. Print is where you would go to print your stuff. Drawing utilities is it has some different things here. Okay, so like drawing properties, this basically gives you some of the information about this particular file. Okay. Drawing utilities, units. Now, this is something that you will be using, and by default, AutoCAD uses decimal for the type of units that it has, and then you can set the decimal precision for decimal places there. On the angle, you can change that to 3 decimal places. And here's how you know that it's a inches versus millimeters drawing, is you can look here in drawing units. And if this bar right here says inches, then you know your drawing is in inches. If it says millimeters or something else, then you know that it is not in inches. And at this same point, let me explain to you that the length of a line in AutoCAD is in units. 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit. AutoCAD doesn't really care what you think is in inches, feet, yards, miles, light years, millimeters, centimeters, decimeters, meters, kilometers. AutoCAD really doesn't care because to AutoCAD, it's just math. Okay, it's just math. So we tell it what the insert is so that it knows if we copy something into this drawing, it's coming in at what we're still thinking. Now, because if we set up a drawing as an inch drawing, then the lines, the dashes, the text, all these kinds of things are based on an inch. If we set up a metric drawing, all of those things are set up as millimeters. So you cannot copy and paste from a metric drawing to an inch drawing or vice versa. And if you draw an inch drawing in a metric drawing template, now your drawing is going to be like 25 times too small. And then vice versa. If you draw a metric drawing in an inch template, your drawing is going to be 25 times too big. Okay, so it's important that you start with the correct template when we start using templates. Okay, so that was the big red A. Up here, we have what's known as the quick access toolbar. And we've got new, we've got open, save as, and then we've got some open and publish to the web, which we're not going to use in this course, or really any of the courses here at Chattahoochee-Tech. And then you've got the plot or printing. You got to undo, you got to redo, and you got to share. Okay. Now, the little pull down arrow to the side is where you can edit the quick access toolbar. Okay, and so you can check and uncheck the things that you use or don't use. Okay, so I just turned off the web and mobile, and you can see it's shortened my toolbar. You can add some of these things to it if you use them, quite often. Layers might be one. Once we get into layers, match properties is one that a lot of people use. Properties gets used a lot. Okay, and so these are just quick icons that are up there that you can jump to them really quick. Okay, next. Okay, so here we've got what's called the title bar, and it tells you what version of AutoCAD you're using, and currently we're using the 2025 version. It tells you what kind of licensing you have installed, and then what your drawing name is that's currently open. Okay. If I save this, let me just save it to my desktop. As sample, and you notice the file type, it's going to save it as a 2018 version. And what that means is that any version of AutoCAD back to 2018 will open this drawing. If you hit the pull down, you can see you can go all the way back to the 1997 version of AutoCAD. Okay. Most of the time we just keep it as the default 2018. Okay, so I'm going to save that to my desktop. See, it changed the name here, change the name up here. And then these are tabs, and so if you got multiple drawings open, you can switch back and forth. So I could go back to my landing page. I can go to this open drawing. If I hit the plus tab, it will open a drawing in the latest template that I used, which in this case was the ACAD template. Let's see. I talked about the search deal up here. Talked about tabs. Okay, over here, this is what's known as the view cube. And in AutoCAD, we're not going to use it. It's mostly useful in a 3D environment, and we're going to do we'll do a little bit of 3D later on, but not a lot, because AutoCAD is kind of cumbersome in 3D. It's a little difficult to use. But this is the view cube, and most of the time you're going to be working here where it says top, north will be to the east. If I were to grab it and kind of drag it, you can see it's changing my view. And you notice it's changing my UCS symbol down here. So we're in a 3D environment, but we want to work in 2D. Okay, so we're just going to go back to top, and now everything looks back to the way that that it should have been. All right, let's talk about what other things here. We've got a grid here that's visible. It should be visible for you. Down here, this is what's known as the status bar across the bottom here. And this first button right here is the grid. When a button down here is blue, that means it's turned on. When it's not blue, it's turned off. And so grid can be on and off. Okay, let's see. The next one over here, this is snap, and we're going to deal with all of these buttons later on in another video. This is dynamic input mode, and most of the time, I'm going to tell you, most of the time, probably 99% of the time, you want dynamic mode to be turned on. It will just make drawing and your life easier for you, okay? This little box right here is your drawing coordinates, and this will be the coordinates that whatever command that you're given, when you click your mouse, and if you're in a command, it will show you the coordinates that your cursor is located at for that command, not just anytime you're moving it around. Let's see, command, dynamic input. Okay, those are the important ones right there. If something is not showing up for you, over here to the right, the 3 bars, that's customization of your status bar. And you can turn on and off the things that you need. So yes, turn coordinate zone, yes, 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 yes. All of these here, yes. These others can be no. Leave the annotation stuff on, leave these on for now, because we will deal with them later when we get into drawings and dimensioning the drawings. Units, you can turn units on or off. You turn it on, and it shows you right here that we're in this drawing is a decimal drawing. I don't find it that important to have on. The rest of these I leave off, especially the clean screen. Clean screen is a button down there that you click that button, it will erase everything on your screen. And I kind of find that to be a hazard that I want to leave it turned off so that I don't accidentally hit that. Okay, so you want to at least get these things here that I've got marked checked, so they will show up for you. Some of the other things around here, this is, we call this the UCS, or Uniform Coordinate System. It's your 0 point, because AutoCAD does everything on an X, Y, and a Z coordinate. Just like you remember back in your algebra class, you got the 4 quadrants from the origin. You got, positive, 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 negative, negative, positive, negative, negative in your different 4 quadrants. Well, AutoCAD uses this as a 0, 0. And the location of everything is based on that 0 point. So it's good to keep that visible, and it's good to start your drawings, if not on that 0 point, somewhere close to that 0 point. Because I see a lot of people, they open up their template, they're not paying attention to where they're going to start drawing, or maybe they've zoomed their mouse wheel, and you see I'm way out here, and I start a line command, and I click a point, and you notice down here in my coordinate screen, that's the X and the Y value of where I started drawing that line. 1.3 to the 7th power. Okay. And so if I'm trying to print, that is not going to show up on my paper. Now, I'll show you a couple of other ways to avoid these kinds of issues. But before you start a new drawing, always try to make sure that you're somewhere kind of close to the 0 point. Okay. I'm going to look at my time here. I'm at 21 minutes. Okay, so let me pause this video and then we'll start a new one. Okay.